part 2 of Abnormal Presence Sassy Saristas. In part 2, we will be listening to more stories from Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Chabra in her wonderful illustrious career of 35 years with All India Radio and Doordarshan, as well as her retirement life where she is a social media influencer. I've met a lot of career women who tell me that, I'd love to wear the sari to work, but, I feel people judge me when I'm in a sari. I feel people put me in a bracket when I'm in a sari, that I'm not cool, or I'm not professional. The sari doesn't give me the confidence that I appear professional. Whereas you have had such a fantastic career for 35 years. And you actually, sari, like you said, became part of you. You never even thought of it as a separate, separate being which was following you or something like that. So what is the advice you'd like to give women who are career women? How can they make the sari appear professional? How can they just, have that confidence that people are not judging them?
My answer to this is, I think it's all in their mind. See, in government sector, sari was never uncool. Sari was considered very dignified. No senior officer would ever wear anything but a sari. No secretary to Government of India, women secretary to Government of India, or let's say me as Director General of Doordarshan would be sitting in that coveted chair wearing anything else but a sari. So I don't think in the government sector it was ever talked about. When it comes to corporate, if you remember, you worked in a bank. If you remember, the earlier bankers, the most talked about women like Nana Lal and all these people, they were all in sari. So at what stage the girls shifted into suits, business suits, no one knows. Even in advertising, the earlier women who were in advertising, they all were in sari. But I think the moment the globalization happened, people assumed when they were traveling abroad or meeting people, they assumed that probably they should also be wearing business suits to feel inclusive. But I think if they had tried to wear their own national dress, people would have loved it. I think sari has always been a conversation starter because it's so fascinating, it's so colorful. You stand out. In a boardroom, you stand out. I know that, when the top women executives of advertising industry would come to meet me, they'll joke around, they'll say, Vijaya, we are in a sari because we were going to meet you. So it's not that I used to be in awe of them. They were in awe of me because I was always well dressed in a sari. And of course, you have to wear different, not always the kind of saris we are showcasing on Instagram. To be in a position, to be wielding power, you need to dress accordingly in an appropriate sari. But sari was never really looked down upon as looking behenjish or looking not smart. Sari made you look smart. Sari is power dressing. Tell me, which other dress today is considered power dressing? I think sari is the only dress which is power dressing. So I did not have problem ever because I was working with government and I loved sari. I never thought, I had no option. I never thought in terms of wearing anything else. So when I went for my Commonwealth Fellowship, in fact, I want to tell you that we were encouraged to be in our national dress every day. Initially, for 15 days, when I was for my fellowship, we had an official lunch where who's who of UK would be invited to have lunch with us. We were, in our briefing, we were told that we should be in our national costume. So obviously, I draped a sari every day for 9 months. I was there. I attended all meetings with the Commonwealth chairman and whoever I met, the ambassadors, even the Queen, dinner. I was in my sari all the time, and I never really felt out of place in my sari because after all, people from other countries, they were wearing their own clothes. So I made many presentations outside of India, but I made all my presentations wearing a sari. And I represented such a big organization, much bigger than BBC, much bigger than Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So the power also comes from the organization you work for. So it was immaterial. And I only remember when I would come down the stage, people would be praising my presentation, but they would also be talking about my sari. They would say, oh, what a nice dress you're wearing, what a nice dress you're wearing. So why would I not wear a sari? If it draws me into conversation with people, people would come while having dinner, while having lunch, they would come and they would talk to me about the sari, that do I wear it every day? Is it comfortable? Is it not comfortable? Do in India people, most women wear it? So you engage into conversation and it leads to various other things, talking about your country. So sari always starts. Why would I go to an Australian is in a business suit and start a conversation for nothing unless I know? But unknown people would come to me and start talking to me because of my sari. I want to tell you one interesting anecdote about how proud I am about my sari as my official dress. I was to deliver 3 lectures at a media conference called Media 2020 in Romania in 2015. Radio Romania is very closely associated with royalty there. The Crown Princess of Romania is almost like their head, their guide. But since the time of revolution, they've been very close to the royal house. So she was going to host a dinner for us. So everything, in these conferences are very formal. They inform you even the smallest possible detail. So obviously for this official dinner, they sent us long list of do's and don'ts, and one of them was advisory for the kind of clothes we should wear. So obviously it was black suit and red tie and whatever, even for women, a black dress. So I wrote back to them saying that I don't wear dresses. I would like to wear a sari, and that too a red sari. Why should I wear a white sari? There was a girl from Radio Romania who used to interact with me. She'd become quite friendly. She said, oh my God, Mrs. Chabra, do manage somehow. Write into Royal House to take permission for you to wear a red sari. It's very tough, I said, listen, I can't wear anything. You can drop me then from that dinner. She said, of course not. India is the biggest broadcaster. How can we drop you? I said, then you better write. It took 15 days for them to get this approval. It was, they had their own protocol. I don't blame them. First, they had to understand that somebody would be so, stubborn about it that the person wants to wear only the national dress. So anyway, they allowed me. And they wrote in the letter that, okay, you can wear a red sari. so I was wearing this sari. I have pictures with Princess Anne wearing this sari. And trust me, it was a very, very formal kind of situation. People were shaking hands with her and going for the dinner. She was meeting everyone, but she wasn't talking to anyone, just smiling. When I went to shake hands with her, she literally stopped. She looked at my sari. She said, oh God, you are radiating. And what a nice dress it is. Then I said, yeah, this is my national dress, and thank you for your office approved of this for this dinner. She said, but you wear clothes like this every day. I said, yeah, we wear it every day. Such bright color every day. I said, yes, such bright color every day. So having that little conversation was also, the staff was standing like this, because she's after all their crown princess. So, but I was so happy that I could have my way, and I wore my sari. Of course, I made all my presentations wearing saris. 3 presentations I had made and in my saris. So that's why I wore. I thought I must show you this sari. This is the red barampuri I wore to meet Princess Anne. So I never really thought it was uncool. I always thought it was so beautiful, so beautiful. Imagine if you wear a blouse like this, wear a sari like this, who would not say it is beautiful? And which other dress can be more beautiful than this?
So true. Yeah, it definitely is a conversation starter. There's no doubt about it as a dress. Um, so, Dee, if I were to ask you to pick three of your favorite weaves, what would those be from your wardrobe?
Okay. It is very difficult, Kamla, though I would tell you, it's very difficult because I love weaves from all the states, and I have painstakingly collected sarees, less expensive, more expensive, whatever it is, from most of the states. But if you ask to pick me, it's a little unfair, but still, I would say in winters, my favorite drape was kosa because it was so dignified. It's because not because it's the most beautiful thing or whatever it is. I had to choose clothes according to my job. My job was the most important thing. Going out was once in a week. One wore different kind of clothes then, but every day one had to be dressed well. So in winters, kosa was my most favorite because it's simple with thin border. I hardly used to wear jewelry those days. I dress up a lot for IG these days. For you people, I really dress up. But my saris and my blouses and my bindi and my jura, these were my fixed things. I didn't wear any jewelry those days. So tussar was my first choice in winter. And then, those thin bordered army silks, I used to call them Kanjivaram those days because I didn't know so much in detail. I have lots of them. Primarily, I wore, these kind of thin borders. So, and of course, Odisha sarees, simpler sarees like these, not all, full
Yeah.
work sarees. No, these were my favorites in winter. And in summer, though I loved chanderi a lot,
Yeah.
but chanderi, the gorgeous chanderis were always for the evenings. Very simple chanderi. If I got them, I would wear to office. And Bengal cotton, I used to love, and Odisha cottons, I used to wear. South cottons, of course, were excellent for office wear with thin borders and kota and very difficult to say. India is full of beautiful sarees, full of beautiful sarees.
So
So
true.
very difficult to say. It's really not right to say I love this and I don't love this because you know how much work goes behind, how much work people, our viewers put into making those sarees. I only wish we can preserve them. My only desire is the young girls must wear it. I hope they learn, they fall in love with saris as we all fell in love with saris. It's not, it's a long way to go. I know it's a long, long way to go. People
I
are,
mean, it's a very good beginning by influencing so many of us to, we look up to you. You've had such an illustrious career, such fulfilling life, family life, as well as your work life, and you wear the sari so elegantly. It's very inspiring. It's more stories like this will really inspire a lot of young girls to, take to this garment and accept it and embrace it actually.
and in fact, when you learn about them and you wear them with love, you learn to love your whole country. I want to tell you that I have a strange connect with my saris. I used to very carefully pick up my saris for meetings and everything. So if I wear a sari, I think of certain things. For example, if I'm wearing a kosa, I would immediately think of Habib Tanveer, Tijan Bai, and these kind of things. I will think that day. I'll think of Chhattisgarh. I'll think of undivided Madhya Pradesh. If I'm wearing an Assamese sari, immediately I'll think of Bhupen Hajarika. There can't be anything else but Bhupen Hajarika. So if I wear Kanjivaram, I think of my trip to South and those temples and all. So when I wear saris from Odisha, of course, I think of my father, I think of my village, I think of the pond. When we were young kids, every year during summer vacation, we used to go to Odisha. I was not aware I'm going to love my fabric so much. But my father had, you know, every possible weave in our house in terms of curtains, bed covers, pillow covers, gamchas. So when I went to college, I saw these beautiful gamchas which my mother used to use to wipe her hair. Even in South, you use those thinner gamchas to wipe your hair. So I said, my God, such beautiful gamchas to wipe your hair. So let me make a blouse out of it. So since then, I've been making my blouses out of those gamchas, which has a nice border, and both sides, they have nice motifs.
Correct.
So I would put the motifs in the center of my, back, and then I used to stitch those days. So it was easy designing my own blouses. So this is how I fell in love with the Indian textile. And whenever I wear, I have these small, small connects with my Indian weaves, and I think of that. And the whole day, I used to love in office. Whoever will ask me, okay, Vijaya, what are you wearing today? People used to ask me a lot, what are you wearing? So then I would explain, I go to great length to explain, okay, this is from Assam, this is what they do, and this is the sari. So it was also fun. It was fun, and I was learning. I was learning about my own country, because sari was not only about the weave.
Yeah.
There was history, there was mythology, there was a whole lot of, in fact, to be very honest, I didn't know much about the looms and the warp and the weft. I did not know. I learned it in last 5 years in detail, technically. I learned about these things now. But I knew the history. And you really wear your history. In true sense, you wear your history, you wear your culture. When you're wearing your sari, there's so much to tell people when you're wearing it. We have living textile heritage, and we all must try our best to keep it alive as long as it's possible.
So true. So Vijaya, you have played so many roles in life. I mean, a daughter, a mother, a sister, the equivalent roles in the in-laws side as a daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law. You are a broadcaster. You are now a raconteur and an influencer. So many roles, very fulfilling life. How do you manage to multi-hat all of this so beautifully and enjoy life to the fullest in every role you do? So do give us tips, because this is something so inspiring to hear from you.
I think, whenever I think about this, many people ask me, whenever I think about this, in our times, I don't think we intellectualized it so much. We didn't really intellectualize it. We just went ahead with the flow. We all wanted to work. Today girls still have an option. Parents are doing so well, and they all have option. Many people, after doing their MBAs and all, they drop out, they don't work, they take breaks. All these things are possible today. In my time, many of my colleagues like me, because parents had aspiration for us. Parents wanted their girls to do well. The environment was such. The government was talking about educating girls. There were freedom fighters, leaders like Sarojini Naidu. And those days, parents wanted to make their daughters study and do well. So if you have, and they put everything behind them. See, today it's so easy to spend money on my children's education. It wasn't easy for my father to educate four of us. I was in Indraprasth, my brother was in St. Stephen's, the third one was in engineering college. My sister went to, again, Indraprasth College. And in addition to us, my mother educated two of the girls that she brought up, her househelp's daughter. Prior to that, my uncle and my bua were brought up by them and educated and got married. So look at that time society. So parents had put everything, बिल्कुल जैसे दांव पे लगा देते थे ना, तो हम लोगों पे तो सब दांव पे लगा हुआ था. So after that, how will you not work hard? So we all had to work very hard. So working was inevitable. So my job was inevitable. I loved it. That was a blessing in disguise. I was lucky. I found my husband who was all supportive. He was completely supportive. You know, during those cricket days, there were days when I never came home. I slept in office. So he would cook for children. And if children wanted something special and they didn't want the cook to cook it, Manoj will be forever cooking non-vegetarian. My in-laws were extremely progressive and they were very proud of me. Not only they let me do, it's not they're letting me do, I did it, but they were so proud of me. They were extremely proud of me that I was working, I was doing something very different. So I would think I was also very lucky. I did, I'm sure I did work hard to keep everything in place, to manage all my relationships. I had excellent relationship with my in-laws, my sister-in-laws, everyone. I have a very good relationship. You know, parents want their children to do well. They want to make them feel proud. So I was always concerned that I must do well, so that this is my, you know, in Indian concept you have Matru Rin, Pitru Rin. I said, this is my Pitru Rin. I have to pay back by doing well in life, because my father and mother worked so hard on my education and aspiring for me. You know, most of the people didn't aspire for their daughters. They aspired for their sons only. But my parents also aspired for me. So I was extremely happy. I thanked God when I became Director General, because my father sometimes used to say I did not write my civil services. So when I became Director General, it was the topmost post of the biggest public service broadcaster of the world. So I think I made him proud. Um, so all these things, um, also you need a bit of luck. I think luck was also on my side. And of course, women have to work harder on their relationship. For a long time, I lived in a joint family with my in-laws in Delhi. It really helped me. When my children were small, my in-laws really took care of. I used to have my, ayahs and all, but my in-laws really took care of my children. So my children have very fond memories of their grandparents. And so all these things girls today probably have to take into account if they have to work. Because I feel if you've done an MBA from a premium institute and you end up giving up your job just because you have to look after your child, what's the big deal? I'm sorry if I'm offending some people. What's the big deal? Because after all, your parents have worked for it. Sometimes I have to tell my children, because sometimes I have to let go of few things. I can't do it for them, because I couldn't do it because I had to be in office. And so this is what I used to tell them. I said, I owe this to your grandfather and your grandmother. Today, I am working hard for you. Tomorrow, you would want to do it for me. Would you like to chuck up your job and sit at home? So, whenever we have discussions and argument, and if they have little complaints that you didn't do this, because I also, there were occasions couldn't do certain things for them. So we had these discussions, every children have some complaints. So my answer is, I had to do this for my parents, because my parents had put in so much emotionally. They had invested so much. I couldn't have given up my job. So when you manage everything, you gain something, you lose something, but at no cost I was going to give up my job. It gave me financial independence, it gave me confidence, and I feel every woman must do something or the other. Today, there are so many options. In our time, we only had to work. We had to go to work. Today, you can work from home. You have online now. During COVID, everything is online. So there are so many options, and every woman must try to do something. I really honor those women prior to our generation who became teachers. There weren't too many options. They became teachers, and they were so hardworking. Life was tougher for them, and they educated us. Most of my teachers were women in school, and they were so dedicated to their profession, and they did. So today, when there are so many facilities before us, I see no reason why women should not work. They must do something or the other. And you can look after your children and your home and your husband and your entire family. My house is like you've seen, It's still like a joint family. My mother came, she stayed with me for almost 15 years. One of Manu's cousin has been living with me for last 20 years. My children stay with me. So it's again become a joint family, like the kind of joint family was there in Delhi where I lived. I'm the eldest now. So I have taken the place of my husband's grandmother who looked after all of us. And I feel just like her. I feel as magnanimous like her because I learned it from her. She took care of all of us. So it is important. It is important to keep your support system in place if you want to work. And you must work. Take care of people when you can take care. Others will take care of you when the time comes.
So true. Good karma always goes around, and so, post such a fruitful career in broadcasting, the social media attracted you with its, tentacles, and you are a student of social media almost, and you just took to it like a person takes to swimming or driving or something like that. You thrive in it. We love listening to you. We love hearing your stories. You're reciting poetries now. We love listening to that as well. How did this transformation happen? Did you even imagine that you'd become like a social media influencer post retirement?
That's really an accident, I must say. I remember when I was DG, one of my colleagues asked me once that why don't you join 100 Sari Pact? I knew nothing about 100 Sari Pact. I said, what is it about? So he said, no, women wear 100 saris in a year and they write about it. So I just dismissed. I said, I wear 400 saris, 365 days, one sari during the day. In the evening, I change and I wear another sari. So why should I write about 100 saris? So anyway, those days I had no time, Kamla, to be very honest. And I also, though I had a Facebook page, I couldn't write much because I was holding a very precious position. I was privy to government decisions and various other things. So I couldn't write. I couldn't write in social media. I had to be very careful as to what I was writing in public forum. So my Facebook account was just for the sake of it. I was posting birthday pictures, or if my brothers came or my sister came or something like that. Then, after my retirement, I don't know how, somebody added me to a sari group called Magic of Stories. And I started, posting. And when I wrote my first post, I, scrolled through and I said, well, I'm not a young girl that I should just post my picture. I should write something about my sari. And that first picture was with Dr. Kapila Vatsai, the doyen of the living art history of this India, I would say. We had done archival recordings with her, and I had a beautiful picture with her. I was also wearing a good sari, and she was wearing an 80-year-old sari of her mother. So I wrote about that, and I posted. There was huge response to that particular post. So then I was sitting at home doing nothing much, and I was in Delhi. So when I am in Delhi, I have even less work. There are people to take care of me. And so I wrote few posts every day. And there was so much of it. Was absolutely initial days of that particular sari group. So the admin, Sushmita and Sunita Mishra, they got in touch with me. They said they wanted to interview me. I said, okay, fine. They're also from Odisha, so there was little affinity. So Sushmita came home. She interviewed me. I said, okay, fine. Some interview she's taken and she'll publish somewhere. When that interview was published, they called me some sari icon. And it was a full-fledged, beautifully written interview. If you search the net, you'll find lots of interview about my career and all in indiatelevision.com and many other sites, professional interviews. And this also pops up along with that. So I was very amused. I said, oh my God, my sarees have kind of earned me an interview. So I better take it seriously and I better write some better posts. So I started writing. I think seeing me write in detail, many others started writing about weave and sari. And every day I would write a post, and the next day I would tell myself that I just can't write anything. I have to write a decent post. Like that, it went on and on and on, and it became like a passion. And I made so many new friends, I made so many younger friends. I met all of you in Bombay and Delhi. I had friends. I made friends all over the world. That's when my children told me that since I love interacting with young people, uh, maybe I should have an Instagram page where everything will be preserved in one place, and it makes more sense, and it is the most in thing. And Facebook, according to them, was of older people. I said, but I am an old person today. So my children said, no, but at heart you are so young, so you should be on Instagram. So my daughter was visiting. She opened my page and I started posting. And in no time, there was such a response to my page that I was overwhelmed. My children keep, an hawk's eye on my page. If there is any small mistake or something, one call will come from London, one call will come from Raven's office, and they are forever guiding me also. What kind of photographs I should put, how my photographs should not be frivolous, and it should be in consonance with my last position, how I should never forget the, the real thing that I have earned in my life is being a broadcaster and being Director General of Doordarshan. Should never compromise with that position and never be frivolous. All these feedbacks I get from my children that keeps me in track, on track. And so I started writing. When you start doing something, whenever I've done something, even if I'm cooking or I'm stitching, I have always wanted to put my best. I told you my name had to be in the board, that kind of thing. So it's in the board of everywhere. In Doordarshan's room also, my name is in the board. So I couldn't be on IG just like any ordinary person. So to be honest, I have worked very diligently to make my post relevant. To in every post, I try to say something. I wear a sari. I take a lot of trouble to click good pictures and post it nicely. I just don't post any pictures. That's part of it. That part of Instagram. It's a tough job to every day click picture, but I do that. But pictures are not everything. I have to write something sensible so that the younger people who are following me get something out of it. See, even if I am posting my recycled quilt, I write why I pursued these hobbies. What did I get out of out of making these things? Why do I stitch my blouse or stitch my blouse? Everything that I write has to have something in it, some one liner to take home. So it became a passion. I love it now. I met all of you. I have so many new friends, which I really love. I had never thought after retirement, I'll have a colorful life. Look at me. I would be more colorful than me. So my life, the way I dress up, the way I speak, it all reflects my current life. So my life is full of happiness because all of you around me. It gives me so much of happiness, and I'm learning every day. I was always very concerned, and I am still concerned and scared that a day should not come when my children think our mothers become old and stagnant. It's a challenge. I want to remain relevant as long as it is possible for my children, because I always shared with my children. We talk, we discuss, we share, and they look up to me. So I don't want to be like some old woman, sounding like 60s woman. Not like that. I want to be relevant to them. So social media makes me relevant. I have probably more followers than them. I have made more friends, and I learn. I know what's going on in the world. Even though we talk about sari, even though sometimes we talk about frivolous things about dressing up, about jewelry, about these things, but it keeps me updated. I love to be updated, and life has some meaning. If you say people are learning from me and whatever it is. So, but there is a great responsibility on me now. I must tell you that there are days, 1 or 2 days, I would not post if I think that I have nothing to say. But whenever I post, I must have something to say. So I want to see how long can I go on like this. I say, oh my God, the day my stories are over, what am I going to do? So that's the worry. But I am sure the stories are happening also. Someday I will write about you also. Someday we write about this interview also. So many things are happening in my life. Life would have come to a standstill. I would have done something. Why not? I have always done something, but this is the best thing that happened to me. This is the best thing, and it's so meaningful. It's really meaningful. It's not only just wearing a sari and showing off. Therefore, Kamla, I do a lot of things. I make it a point not to always in a week go on posting all my expensive saris. This is what my daughter told me. I had gone to London. I'm sharing all this with you to give a perspective how I think when I write on social media. I had taken, obviously, I had gone to London, so I had taken all my expensive sarees. And she had a beautiful staircase. I used to sit there. She used to click my pictures. One day she said, hey, Mama, what are you doing here? You don't look like yourself. I don't remember you like this. I remember you in your simple sarees with a thin border, those russet sarees. Every day you are putting up these expensive sarees. You are intimidating young sari bearers. They'll think if they can't wear like this every day, they won't wear sarees. So you better go back, take out your old sarees and, post about them, write about them, how your journey took place. From day one, you could not buy these expensive sarees. So that's when I came back and I started my hashtag, my precious old sarees, my ghar ki sari, and all these hashtags. And I keep wearing, in a week, I keep wearing these humble sarees to tell people that when I started my career, I could only afford this. And a serious sari wearer, if you plan to wear sari for next 40 years, you have to do it wisely, and you have to, if you want to wear saris to office, you have to buy accordingly. So you decide what you want to wear. What kind of office you work in, you will decide. No one can really tell you, but you can really, there are saris in this country which are affordable, and if you decide to wear, you can buy them, you can wear every day. You don't need to wear a varampuri every day. I am at 65 wearing these saris, not at 25 I was wearing these kind of saris. So with some thought, I write my post so that I'm not intimidating people. I am making sari look very possible thing, that it is possible for youngsters. My only concern is that youngsters must wear sari. This is my biggest concern, that then only the weave will survive. See, Kamala, people like you and me today who can afford all the expensive saris, we have maybe another 20 years span to buy. In this 20 years, they should have cultivated another lot of people who, after 20 years, should be in a position to buy a 30,000 rupees saris. What is 15,000 today would be 30,000. Because we were wearing saris every day. Today we are buying 20,000, 25,000 worth saris. If we were not wearing, why would we buy it? Correct. So to create that market, the youngsters have to get into the habit of wearing sari every day. Even if they are wearing a 5,000 rupees sari or a 2,000 rupees sari every day, they must get into the habit of wearing. If they don't wear, 20 years later, they will not buy these expensive saris. So therefore, that's my biggest concern. To how do we get the younger generation to wear saris? Social media is the greatest thing that happened to me, Kamla. I don't know what people think about social media. There are many critics of social media also. Many think it's very frivolous. Many think it just has no meaning. But for me, it's a new life. It has given to me. I'm a broadcaster. I never wrote. I never wrote. I only spoke. You will be surprised. I would go before microphone, and without any script, I could speak for hours. Even today, you saw that I don't refer to any notes, or I can go on talking for hours. So I never really wrote. My husband he knew that I used to write. So he would tell me, why don't you write? Why don't you write? You must write. But somehow there were so many other things to do, take care of children, take care of the house, take care of the office. I never got down to write anything. Haven't written a word since I got married. When I started writing, it was a revelation to me that every day, day after day, I can write 2,220 words. Drop a pen hat, I can write a post. It is such a great feeling. It is something which was within me and I wasn't aware of it. So I feel great. It's like an exercise. I do it every day. And I think it really helps me. It keeps me alive. It's like an exercise. It's like any other exercise. And so, thanks to social media, I would have never done it. My daughter sometimes says, "How do you write a post every day?" I've been writing non-stop for last 4 years. On Instagram for more than 2.5 years, non-stop, almost every day. I take a break probably for a day or so. That's all. And so it's a great exercise for me. It's a skill I discovered about myself. My people at home feel very good about it, that I write. I'm very open to if my children critically analyze my post and give me some feedback. I really like it, and I improve my writing skills if they give me some feedback about it. And it's very therapeutic. Writing a post is very, very therapeutic. And I make it a point to reply to everyone because I think, it is amazing. Not only they read, if they read and put a like, I will be grateful. But not only they read, they write such big comments, the response amazes me. It only goes to show that people are waiting to, maybe social media is the new thing. Like earlier days, we used to read novels, we used to read newspaper, we used to read articles. People read everything on social media today. So probably, the way I tell stories, they like it and they respond. The way they respond, I am so grateful. So I feel that I am committed to reply back, and I reply to every response. So everyone who writes at least one sentence, two sentences, I always write back. So my day is what more do I need? People all over the world are talking to me. What more could I need? This is the best thing that happened after retirement. And let's see how long it goes.
I'm sure it'll go on very long because you have a very, very essential and endearing quality to stay young and relevant, which is that you like to learn, and you don't mind who gives you those lessons. It could be your children, it could be a very young girl who's reading your post in Instagram and giving you some lesson. You are humble enough to accept that and learn, and that will always keep you young and relevant, and that will always inspire stories from you for us. So thank you so much for that. It's so nice to hear this.
Thank you, Kamla. Thank you so much. I know I took some time to say
I
yes for
enjoyed it.
this. Because I didn't want to overdo these interviews. There were few interviews on Insta Live, and I thought I'll keep repeating myself. What's the point? But I saw some of your interviews, and I really loved it. And I said, no, I must be, I must do this for you and share, because the more and more people hear about it, more and more people might, there may be some takeaway for somebody who watches it.
So, Vijayati, thank you so much. I mean, you are such an inspiration. And do continue to wear your lovely saris. Do continue to, as you rightly said, every fold of a sari has a story. Every fold of a sari gets you lovely memories. And those memories and those stories are etched in our minds, So you have you have a flair with words. You write very well, you speak very well, you influence. So do continue to do that, because it's fantastic to have people to look up to, like we do with you. So thank you so much for such an inspirational chat.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed watching both parts of this episode of Sassy Saristas with Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Chhabra. Do leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback on these episodes on our video right below the video. Do stay tuned on our Facebook and Insta page for updates on future episodes. Thank you very much.